Yo, Goof, what's up? Goof, what's up? I'm back. I was back yesterday, but I actually I wanted to do like I did a ton of chores in my house. Grocery shopping and whatever. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of productive. I wanted to go ham on this game, but I really needed to get my house in order. So here we are. I am trying to multi-stream on YouTube. This time, I tried it once before in the past, and I immediately got copyright struck within like 5 minutes of streaming. See if we can even find the live. I can never find the live stream. Oh, here it is. Yeah, so I only have one. I have multiple my art on the plane and stuff. Oh, cool, man. Yeah, I was excited about that. I thought it turned out pretty good, and I was stoked to post it. You guys split audio between Twitch and YouTube? Can I have music on Twitch? Well, the problem is... I know how to listen to music on my own machine and not have it play through the stream. I know how to do that. Streaming and recording in OBS. Yeah, I can have music like, what's up, Otter? Yeah, I was gone for a while, and then I thought I was going to be streaming yesterday, but instead I did a bunch of house chore stuff. I went grocery shopping. I worked out so much. Every single muscle in my body is sore right now, so that I don't have to for the next few days. It feels good, man. I've been at war against all kinds of bugs in my apartment. I went and got a bunch of... I got some shit for trying to destroy both the ants and the roaches. Fed up. So, yeah. So, I was doing boring house stuff all day yesterday. Tell Chris we need Legacy back. It'll come back, man. It'll come back. Didn't he give you, like, an exact date? Didn't he give you guys an exact date in the latest Q&A? I think I heard him say it. Burn them all. I wish, dude. Instead, I had to find poison for the ants and for the roaches, where it's like they grab it and then they take it back to the colony or the nest, and then the whole thing dies, which is what I desperately have needed. So we'll see. I hope it all works. It takes like a month though, or some crap. That was just one of literally, I had a list of 20 random things I had to do yesterday. Say around the 14th? Yeah. Yep. So it'll be back because everybody's on, yeah, it's evil, but dude, they're relentless. Everybody's on break right now. Some crazy people are working a little bit like right now. But most people are kind of chilling. As you know, like, as you can see, I'm chilling. I'm doing my own side projects for the next 5 days. The reason why is because when we get back, you know, it's going to be nonstop. It's going to be like a pretty long sprint of many weeks. Up until EA release a long time. So everyone's just kind of preparing, you know, for probably one of the craziest sprints of any of our careers. Will be one for the record books. Also, we sprinted we already did like a bunch of intense sprints this fall for the playtest to turn out good and for Next Fest. So everyone needed the 2 weeks. Anyway, what was I doing? Oh, I'm gonna post on Instagram real quick that we're live. So I'm streaming, Otter. I was just saying I'm streaming on YouTube for the second time ever. I have 2 different Trickery YouTube channels, but this one is the only one that was eligible for YouTube streaming because I'd posted videos previously of like my music and stuff, and I had some views on here. So this is the only way that I could stream on YouTube is with this account. Otherwise, I was going to split all the stream stuff into a different one, but whatever. And I tried multi-streaming to it months ago, and I instantly got copyright struck. So, unfortunately, you guys, normally it's a party here in my stream, and it's super fun, but, you know, with the music bumping all the time. But we're going to try to stream to YouTube because I'm going to be like... I'm going to be going ham on trying to get this multiplayer board game up and running in as short a time as I possibly can. I already got really far in literally just like 1 hour or an hour and a half late at night right before I had to leave. I was just like, and I already have like the basics working because I've made like 3 or 4 board games now in different game engines. One of them was just literally recreating chess. So I have like a template in my head for how to start structuring all the like classes and stuff for a board game and what sort of input you need. Where's maps and modes? Maps and modes. But anyway, so I wanted to stream this to multi-stream it to YouTube again. Because this is the kind of thing that makes for a good VOD after the stream is over. We may even, like, if I transition into doing other random stuff tonight, after binging on the board game dev, I might, like, restart the stream to be, like, Twitch exclusive, you know, so it can go back to being fun, having music. But anyway, so yeah, so there's no music, or YouTube's gonna smite me. And yeah. So we'll try it. We'll see. I might go crazy. I might not like that. No, it's like really risky. I was Googling what other people do for their YouTube streams and stuff. And they're like, oh, there's services that you can subscribe to that have like copyright free music for YouTube. But even then, people said stuff gets mixed up and they get copyright struck. All the time still. So what we're going to do, and it's weird. I've noticed there's this thing, like I was watching this other guy that does mock interviews with people for programming interviews. And he's always just like playing some random game while he's playing. And I've realized that, it's same with Pirate Software, right? Like he's streaming a lot of him playing games. And I was like, why is he doing that? And part of it's because his story time stuff, where he's like he's explaining diagrams or techniques or like doing story time. Video game ambience and video game sound effects and stuff. And apparently a lot of video game OSTs, but I don't want to push my luck on that, in general, do not cause the copyright flag. So video games, kind of funnily enough, are actually the best sort of background noise for filling the void of silence. So we'll have to poke around. I've got some stuff. I've got a playlist of all the ambient loops from World of Warcraft that I can listen to. This one right now is ambience from one of the space stations in Eve. We've also got the ambience from the Nuldrums website. I'm sure that'll be fine. And I actually left that on by accident the other day, and for a while I was working, and it's actually, I can listen to the Nuldrums ambience, even though I thought it was kind of rough and unfinished. I don't mind it. So we might listen to the Nuldrums ambience at some point. I think all of my own music, almost all of it, would be fine. I actually think most of this, I wish I could test. I don't know how to test what will trigger it and what won't. There should be some kind of way. But I actually think a lot of the music that I listen to on Bandcamp would not trigger it because it's exclusive to from the artists that I listen to. They never post their stuff on YouTube. But that also brings up the question of, do they want a VOD that's posted online indefinitely that has their music that they meant for it to be exclusive? Yeah. I don't know. If any of you guys find some kind of tool that lets you test if something's going to trigger the copyright or no, please let me know. I was looking around for something like that last night. That's actually, I'm going to add that to my list of business ideas. I'm keeping a list of random business ideas in one of my notes. For apps or startups or whatever. Auto, YouTube, copyright, audio, strike, testing. The only way I can think of to do this right now is you make lots of short videos and then you upload them. And then you see if the upload gets flagged when you try to upload it. That's which is painful. Because I wonder if the ambient music from World of Warcraft would trigger it, you know? We could find no commentary playthroughs of games. I saw people said games that have a lot of copyrighted crazy music, like Need for Speed games and stuff, and the sports games. They get copyright struck on YouTube all the time by accident because of that. So we want to. Let's see. I have a playlist of no commentary walkthroughs. Playthroughs. Yeah. I had a bunch of no commentary playthroughs of games. Ooh, the whole Lego Rock Raiders games on your Journey I'd be worried about. It's all music the whole time. Paper Mario Thousand Year Door, 100%. Is a 42-hour-long playthrough. I feel like that would be a good one. Death Stranding, I feel like, is risky. Don't they have a lot of... Doesn't Kojima always have some Radiohead or some shit in his thing? Luigi's Mansion 3 would be a cool one. That one's 14 hours long. To know music was safe? I don't know. I don't know what's safe and I don't know what's not. What's scary is they literally they shut down the stream immediately. I got an email within 2 minutes of streaming on YouTube. Right? I have 0 copyright strikes on Twitch. 0. And I've been streaming on Twitch for 10 years. So they sent me an email within 2 minutes. The stream was gone. and said if it happens again, you instantly lose your privileges to be able to stream on YouTube, which takes some effort to be qualified enough to be able to stream on YouTube. You have to have like a little bit of uploads and a tiny bit of views and at least a couple subscribe. Like I only have 22 subs, but oh, nice. All right. Well, anyways, so that's all the options. That's all the options. When you guys get back after New Year's, the day after New Year's Day, January 2nd. But, you know, there's gonna be some people that took vacation after. I took one day at the start. The first week back is never really the first week back. It's like, for some of us it will be, but it'll be a little bit. It's always a little scattered. People are kind of rusty and they're having to get back into their groove, into their flow, and some people are trickling in from vacation, etc. Take the fun away from everyone. Stream and tournament wise, yeah, I don't know what's up with them and the tournament thing and all that. It's kind of dumb. Boop 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 boom. All right. I'll put on the World of Warcraft ambience because this Eve one gets kind of repetitive. Let's see. Maybe we'll do the Lost in Random playthrough. I don't know. This is weird to me. I'm usually like, put on the music, put on the electronic tunes, pump it. Let's fucking go. Sure, I'll put this game on. All right, well. I don't know. We'll listen to the WoW ambience a little bit so it can work for some amount of time. I'm going to post that I'm live, and then we're going to get cracking. You be lurking? All right, man. Sounds good. Thanks for being here, you guys. Yeah, this is going to be a what my streams normally should be most of the time, which is we're doing real game dev in Unreal Engine. We're doing Unreal dev, I guess. So I don't know why I said it's real. But yeah, so what happened on the day before I left is this is in multiplayer right now, and this is set up in what's called a listen server configuration in Unreal. And by the way, yeah, I'm trying to make this educational and stuff, right? Because the intention too is that this VOD is going to be hanging out on the YouTube channel, which would be cool. So I'm going to try to narrate through what I'm doing and not just like go silent. But yeah. So anyways, we've got in Unreal, you can do multiplayer. Well, there's like 3 different net modes, right? This is just single player, standalone. The next option is play as a listen server, and this is people call it peer-to-peer. A lot of times, what they'll call it, even though it's not technically right, like even people at work will call it peer-to-peer. It just says as like slang, but technically, peer-to-peer can be actually like peer-to-peer these days, where stuff's being more sent directly from client to client. And they're trying to do like a mesh network kind of thing where a lot of traffic gets offloaded as being partially peer-to-peer while there's still like a dedicated server that people are on. Anyways, so 15, 20 years ago, people would just be like, oh, yeah, it's peer-to-peer when it's like somebody's hosting the server on their own machine. And it only meant kind of like one thing, I think. Now you have to kind of distinguish between them. So instead, in Unreal, they call it a listen server. So I'll interchangeably throughout today, I'll call it a listen server, or it's also a player-hosted multiplayer is the other thing people will say, where one client is both the server and a client. They're like player one, basically. So player one is hosting the server on their machine. And then the final net mode here is called play as client. This was always confusing when I was first learning multiplayer in Unreal, because this is technically the dedicated server client model, right, that you expect from a more hardcore, like live service multiplayer game, where the times you need a dedicated server are pretty much the only time is if you really care about the integrity of people not being able to cheat, but also if you're trying to have like a crazy number of players present in something like an MMO. Otherwise, like somebody can't just. Not everybody's PC can handle like 200 players running around a city on their desktop while they're also running the game. So anyways, dedicated servers, are for like MMOs and battle royales and stuff where you care about trying to prevent people from cheating. Listen server is great for our application here, where it's just a board game and 2 people are going to match up and play with each other. And I don't really care if people cheat or something. This isn't an esport. This is meant to be something fun. And the other important thing, right, is when people are hosting the servers themselves, then you're not paying for dedicated servers to run. So it's also a more economically viable thing for small developers. In this case, I think I'll be mostly solo on this project. Probably 95% of this project will be a solo one. So we don't want to pay money for servers, right? Anyways, so yeah. So that's the multiplayer setup and structure for this game is whatever this player right here, player 1 in the viewport, is also the server that's hosting the game. And then player 2 in this extra window that pops up when I hit play is the client that's connecting to that server. All right. So I got their camera perspective set up, at least, where I can press 1 and 2 on my keyboard, and it changes to a top-down view and like an isometric view behind the board, so people can look at it in different ways. And I think I'm going to make these hotkeys are bound to 1 and 2. I think I'm going to have 3 be I could have 3 and 4 be sideways perspectives if people want to look at the board from the side. I don't think that's a common thing in like board games, but this is one's going to be a 3D game, right? So might as well. I don't see any reason not to. And here it is from player 1 side. So the cameras I had to make different, right? Depending on if you're player 1 or player 2. I had to distinguish between like which perspective this is going to be. So maybe we'll add side cameras in a little bit, but I want to get the basic movements working. Yeah. We'll go over the blueprints. Oh, let me finish posting that we're live. I need to keep my email tab up of this account just in case copyright BS like pops up. They should give you like a warning. They should give you some kind of a warning, like your stream somewhere. February 4th. Oh wow, it was February 4th was the last time I tried to multi-stream. Live stream, copyright notice. Your stream was interrupted. Streams are interrupted when copyright content is detected after copyright material is no longer being streamed. Streams are automatically re-enabled. Oh, that's... What? So they get re-enabled? Why did it tell me it can't happen one more time? I was gonna say. It's way too easy to mess up. Alright, whatever. Well, I'll keep a tab open for that email, for the YouTube account anyways. Let's post that we're live. No, 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 no. Why is there music in that? Oh, it's scary. All right. It's the classic loop for when you're dead in World of Warcraft. All right, guys. It's actually kind of loud. Okay. Done. All right. I had to post that I'm live. Okay. Check. Checking the audio levels. All right, well, I guess that's fine. I think Streamlabs OBS lies to me in how loud the background music is. Like, I think when I pull the volume slider down in the mixer on Streamlabs, it doesn't actually reflect. I don't know. Anyways, all right, guys. Sorry. Still getting situated. Okay, so in Unreal, there is a hierarchy of general, like, templated sort of objects for controlling the state of the game. So the main one is called the game mode. The game mode. So we set the game mode over here in the override for the world settings, and the world settings are relevant to like each level. So we made our own game mode called I called it Magic Chess. I wasn't sure what it was gonna be called. It's like magical chess or something is what that means. And then within the game mode, you set all the other weird like sub blueprints, which is we don't need game session yet. We might need that at some point, but we need a game state because the game state exists for for all players, the multiplayer and the server. So this is going to be the way that we primarily communicate and do things that happen between players. I'm going to keep probably like in the game state, we're going to keep stuff like whose turn it is. I think that'll be the main thing that is that sticks to the game state, or that's like the keeping track of or being kept track of the game state. It's like whose turn it is. Everything else is going to be kind of tracked through replicated variables with like rep notifies and stuff. When it comes to the tiles and the game pieces in their location. The game pieces, there's not that much stuff that needs to be rep notified. The game pieces are primarily going to just be, by their movement being replicated, we'll get most of what we need. Anyways, player controller exists on the server, and then it exists for each local player. So each player can't see the player controller of another player on the client side. This is mainly where we're keeping. I made one called Player Controller Board Game, and this is where I have all my thrown together logic for player input. This is where we're handling inputs. Right now, we only have a select, and we have the camera 1, camera 2 inputs. So this is how we're changing the cameras and stuff. We got a blueprint for the game piece, and it's literally just like a pawn right now. I got something from the marketplace a long time ago that was like a complete chess set, and we're going to use normal chess pieces for prototyping. The design tools essentially is what we're going to build first. That will allow us to easily like define what sort of movement patterns the pieces are capable of, and what sort of like attack patterns they're allowed to do. Right, and you would think you don't really need those two to be separate in a board game, the attack and the movement patterns. But if you think about chess, a pawn already has that, right? It can only move forward one and attack diagonally. I quickly found out when I was trying to test the paper version of this with my brother last week over the break that that rule was created for a reason. And the reason why is because of the like two kings like dilemma. Like if something can only move one piece, then you don't have any reason to like move in a range of another piece. Or you're just going to be in danger. So that's going to be an interesting one to solve. Anyways, so let's... And actually, I think what we'll be doing today is we'll probably primarily... I'm going to build the tools for defining attack and movement patterns. And then we're pretty much going to build chess first, but without the checkmate rules. Right? So we just want chess to be functional with the movement rules and with the capturing of the pieces. And if we get that far today, and it's working in multiplayer, most importantly, then that's a pretty big W. That puts us well on our way to then breaking the rules and twisting it into something else that's not chess. That's like super chess, essentially, or like chess but it's more complicated. So, won't have as much mass appeal as actual chess, but it's still just a fun thing to make from a design standpoint. Okay, so we've got our game piece. We've got our player controller. We got our game state. And we've got the tiles. Let me order these here. Order of importance. The tiles, at first, I was replicating tile state. When I was making this the other night, we've got different colors that the tile switches to. We made an enum for state. Enum is a set of, I guess you could say discrete. I wonder if atomic works in this case. I don't know. A discrete set of like states that it can only switch between one or the other. So the tiles right now, they can either be in the default, which is they're either black or white, depending on what I set their default like color to be and material. Or they can be in the selected state. And the selected state is what I just barely got working before I had to leave last week. Right, like the selected state is when they turn blue, like that. And then if you click it again when it's in the selected state, it then puts it in the deselected state. And then the other state we have is move preview and attack preview. These are common states that I have found to be pretty useful when making a board game, video game in the past. It basically means like if we select a piece, then it'll show a bunch of squares to be either green or like red to show us like where it can move and where it can attack to. So like the move preview color here is going to be green, attack preview is going to be red. We don't have these hooked up or working yet. That's what's coming up in just a minute here. Yeah, so let's figure out where to start next. So we have the selection working. And we need to structure how to define movement patterns for pieces. Oh, I might go open up the... Oh, I don't even have the chess game on here. I can't remember how I defined it in my other multiplayer chess prototype. That would be a useful thing to look at. I can grab the code for that project, I think, fairly quickly. Let's see. Oh, whatever. I'll just go off the cuff on it. I remember it vaguely. It was either... I had some kind of checkbox for this thing can move a finite number of spaces, or it can move infinitely. Because that's one of the hard thing about defining the chess rules, is that some of the pieces, like bishops and rooks, can just move infinitely in one direction or the other, right? Okay. Pieces. Game piece. Alright, so this is the top level one. Main new folder, we're gonna call it chess. We're gonna make a new child of this, we're gonna call it GP. I'm gonna call it GP for game piece. Pawn. Okay? We're gonna make another one. We're gonna call it rook. I think I will go find the code for my chess clone that I created on Core. There's no point in me figuring this out all over again. I'm mainly curious, like, how I organized the properties. Yep, I never even turned it into... So I think this is... I can easily copy this project over. What is it called? A lot of projects. Alright, while I'm doing that, because it's taking forever to load, we need to figure out as well, how do we structure the default starting, like, pieces? And we also need... We also need some UI that tells us the turn. Which one was that? I gotta keep a lot of this dude's music out of this playlist. Where's my project? Create. Found it. Really? I never made a repo out of this? It's surprising. It says get attributes, but there's no get ignore in here. There's no get ignore. There is a get. Recently opened. All right, so the good news is that project I made exists on GitHub. The previous chess game I made. So let me... So we need to clone a repo. Where to clone? It needs to go to... Oh, I already have it. The heck? Oh, I have it. Cancel. Cancel. Whoops. Where is this? Show and Explorer. All right, let's open up VS Code. Let's go here. Let's go open folder. Go here. All right, documents. Nope, wrong documents. My games. Or saved maps. Oh wait, that's it. Okay. Through here. Documents. My games. Core. Saved. Maps. This. All right, well, that was a process. No, wait. We want... data. We want this. There we go. Okay. Here's all the scripts. for this board game, or this working version of chess in core. Right, we can sit down, and then the game starts, and then it tells us whose turn it is. That's the thing, that's the widget we're going to try to get working, is just at least showing whose turn it is. Yeah, it's got a lot of stuff that is specific to Core's implementation that does not apply to us in Unreal. But the main takeaway from this one that I built is we're going to look at just how did I like to format the data for the pieces. So if I go to these pieces, we go Yikes. Okay, we got a table. I don't even know where the pieces are. Oh, here we are. Database. Pieces database. Chess. Rook. Ah, there we go. Okay. Here we go. So I made a data table for the move set. For this one was like data table, move set, chess, rook. This one was like data table, move set, chess, move rules. So there's a move set and there's move rules. So I had to distinguish between those two. That's interesting. Attack set and attack rules. And then there's just a bunch of sound effects here for select, deselect, move, landed, etc. Because I think they were going to have stingers. Move type directional. That's an interesting enum. I put health points 1 because this was going to turn into a different board game eventually. That the pieces have HP like Hearthstone cards or something, but we're not doing that for the game that I'm making right now. Move type pattern, directional pattern. Okay, so that's super interesting. There's the pieces. Scripts, board manager, client. This should be the beefy one. Nope. Update piece location. Local board state is equal to game manager context get board state. So I have a game manager somewhere here. Game manager server. Initialize game. Huge initialization BS for chess tests. Okay, yeah. So I never set up some kind of thing that let me like dynamically change the layout of what's where. Okay, so everything internally is tracking the position in terms of a grid. It's tracking status. I don't know what a status is. Status says A. I don't know what the letter A means as a status. That's kind of weird. And move count. I'm not sure why I needed move count. Pieces by position and pieces by ID. So I had a... So this is like a super nested mega table, and this is something that Lua is exceptionally amazing for. I'm going to take screenshots, though, of like what is here for the move sets. Because I don't want to keep core open a bunch. Let's go look at like what the move set looks like for the rook. Ooh, very cool, very cool. Oh wow, Core did such a good job on their like table editor and stuff. Move rules is none. All right, so that's interesting. So there's no rules, but there's a move set. And this guy is directional. So the only one that's... Okay, so the knight is probably the most interesting. One of the most interesting ones. Let's see. Holy tamale. Dude, what the freak? Why is there 127 rows for the knight move set? Oh, I did blank rows to indicate a breakup in the got it. So that's how we defined the movement for a knight. But then what are the rules? There's nothing for the rules. There's nothing for the rules, but there's 16. There's 16 different rules. Was my code set up to loop and look for... So it's like, look at this. There's nothing for the rules on this guy. Move count. So here's like the pawn. Move set the pawn. And then here's what the rules looks like for the pawn. So the only time that the move rules matter here's the king. Yeah, this is gonna be hard. I don't know how we translate this to I don't know how we translate this exactly over to Unreal Engine because this is very unique to Lua, where I can have all this crazy yeah, this is insane. I don't know how I'm gonna do this yet in Unreal. But basically, in Lua, there's no like data types, so you can have a bunch of mixed up, crazy data. So I've got like, oh, sometimes there's just a number here that the number just tells you. The number just tells you how many squares it can move in those directions. So he's directional. So then what's the knight is pattern and the pawn is pattern based. So what is the purpose in the move rules then? I don't get that because almost none of them are using it. None of them are using it. The pawn and the knight's not using it at all. The pawn is the only one. The pawn should have an attack pattern too. Okay, so if I want them to be able to move infinitely in some direction. Okay, so directional means got it. So for move type, this can be an enum. I should start writing this out. Let me pull up Obsidian here. Let's see, core to UE5, piece movement, mechanics, translation. All right, so pieces need, does their movement continue in just specific directions, or does it follow a bespoke designed pattern like a knight or a pawn that's attacking? So that needs to be an enum of type infinite. No. This one is directional or pattern. A bool for a bool for it was called can jump is what I called it in core. Can jump. But in this I'm going to call it phasing. Either phasing or like it's ghosted or something. Can phase. Can phase through. Probably jump. We'll just call it can jump. For knights. The other piece I want to make for my game, the spy. That's going to be an interesting one. Let me see. Can. So we need data table cells to define how many to define either patterns or directions. I don't have Excel. I'm pretty sure that CSV can just go straight into Unreal, though. All right. Let's see. 0. 0. Piece present enemy. Piece present enemy. What does that mean? I don't understand these move rules. This doesn't make any sense. Okay, so let's look at a pawn here. Pawns are pretty unique. Origin and destination. Okay. Differentiate between order of movement squares and where the final destination is for previews. And for animating it smoothly across the board. Okay, so the pawn movement options are 1 movement forward, 2 movements forward, oh, I see. I see. So the move rules are saying, okay, for block 1, nothing. For block 2, we need to know what the move count is for this rule to apply. Piece present enemy. When showing each potential movement route, need to check against special rules, i.e. required move count, pawns being able to move too, or piece present enemy etc. All right, so the pawn's the only one that makes use of these special rules, which is interesting. Because it either needs to be an enemy is there if for the diagonal move to be a valid one, or you have to be on turn 1 for the or not turn count, move count. Oh, that's interesting. So I had to add, that's why I added a move count property. Pieces need to keep track of which grid they are in and how many times they've moved, what faction they are. All right. So I think we got a good idea of what's needed now and how I structured it here in core. This doesn't necessarily make it that much easier for this doesn't make it that much easier for when it comes to Unreal. The reason being that in Lua you can have like super unstructured data, which is super nice, but we can't do that in Unreal. We also can't have this gigantic. This thing was a little bit extra complicated on core because I set it up to be able to handle like 15 games happening on the same server at once. So I had to have this game ID layer. But it looks like for some reason I needed to be able to do a lookup of pieces both by their grid coordinate and I also needed to be able to look them up by ID. I'm not sure what the ID is doing for me because it's just an integer value. Sometimes I feel like I've gotten stupider or something. Like, I don't know how I figured all this out. And I think I built this in a really short amount of time. Like a week or something. This is a lot. So how did the seat controller, turn manager, Start new turn is doing this is exactly what the new turn looks like right now in the game mode and the Unreal one. That's interesting. So I switched the player turn. Well, that's when it completes. Oh, I forgot to do all this crazy stuff, man. Global piece database, piece move sets, piece move rules. Okay. So forgot that I wrote a bunch of chat stuff too. Update piece location. Adding one to move count on the piece. How is piece move getting fired? Where's that getting fired from? Or move to capture. Interesting. Oh, I had my animation tools in here. Animation stack. 1, move to. So is the tick? Yeah, the tick's processing the animation stack. All right, well, we got our work cut out for us here for sure. So yeah, so the big challenge is that the biggest challenge is that, let's see, open Office Calc is what I could use. The biggest challenge is that chess, queen, knight, rook, bishop, rules, move set, template, directional. Copy. The biggest challenge is that in Lua, you're able to get away with like all these crazy nested tables and lots of unstructured data. And we're sticking to blueprint land for this project, which both kind of speeds things up, but also is going to cause some problems in and of itself, which is keeping track. I can't have like nested tables. See, it's really annoying. I can have an array of structs in a blueprint, but that's it, and it's sort of inflexible. So I'm not entirely sure how we're going to handle this. I don't know why it wouldn't take me to content. We're making a new folder. We're going to call it data. Pieces. Chest. Should come up with an import thing here. Oh my god, dude. God, I forgot about this. We have to make like a data table, a row type. Mass entity test suite. None of these are gonna work. Data table. How do I make a new row structure, dude? I haven't done this in a while. I had to do this for Puppet Masters. Let's see. So rigid, dude, compared to Core and Lua. The cat's here. I have to make a struct. Struct. Move. Set. We're going to say this is a... say it's a string. Let's call it cell value. Cannot find property for column. Call 002 string bracket string instruct move set blah blah. Expected cell value not found in input. Duplicate row name 11 row 4 is missing a name. That's not helpful. Alright, well, this is annoying. I haven't imported a CSV sheet into Unreal in a while. We got to go open another project, see how I did that. Okay, so we're done looking at this. Yeah, we're done with this. And now, let's close out a core for good because it takes a bunch of CPU. All right. So now what we want instead is we want to go check out what I did in this project. We might switch over to a video game playthrough that has a low amount of music, hopefully, in a minute. Just for the background audio. I said, this is streaming on YouTube, so that's why I'm not here jamming to the tunes, because they really like to copyright strike you. Trying to make this into an educational VOD of sorts. The cat's just licking my hand. Okay, so here's my other project where I had to do exactly this. I started porting over a bunch of data from Core into Unreal. And mainly the attack patterns. I think that was the main one. That's an actor. That's a U object. I only see data assets here. Combat ability. F combat ability data tables. But I know for a fact that I did something similar where I had like patterns that I had to design for either attacking or defending, and I designed them with in CSV sheets as well. And I had to take those and translate them over. And they had similar like that error I just saw about the naming when we were trying to import the spreadsheet. Over here, it said, hey, this isn't called cell value. It's called like column 001, whatever, string or something like that. You know what? I actually wonder. I wonder if I can just straight up like not even import stuff. I wonder if I can just make. I wonder if I can just straight up make like. Add. Okay, we can add rows, but how do I add columns? So does the struct represent each column? Oh, that's so rigid. So I can't just like click add column here. Man, Core really streamlined a ton of stuff. Okay, so here's what I think. Here's what I think we have to do. Sell value. ASDF, ASDF. Okay. All right, so let me duplicate. And we're gonna add a variable. We're gonna make this like we're gonna call this column column 1. All right, let's like make all of these into strings for now. I think eventually there'll be some kind of enums, but we want the flexibility of strings too at the same time, because it's sort of weird because at any given time the value in these cells could either mean that the chess piece can move in an infinite number of squares in one direction, or it means they can only move a fixed number of squares. So that was one of the cool things about the unstructured data in Lua. In this, we're going to have to... I don't know. I'm going to have to figure out at what stage do we go in and basically translate what stage do I translate the data from a string into like an integer for the number of squares it can move? Well, I think it's definitely game designer readable when it's interchangeable stuff. Oh, it could be a number. Oh, it could be a string that essentially represents a piece of an enum. But yeah, okay, so let's do this, and we're gonna do moveset 1. Okay. I was gonna look at what I did in Puppet Masters, but right now I just like don't care. Okay, so the row name doesn't mean anything. Is this the best way to do this, or is there a... I mean, this is better than what I originally did with my first board game like prototype that I did in Unity. That was some crazy mess of like strung together manual checkboxes for like every square that it was able to go to, right? And then this is actually laid out in 2 dimensions like the board is, so we can define like a pattern like visually. But let's make like a data asset real quick. Curve table would be garbage. Curve atlas wouldn't work. Yeah, data asset's not gonna work. Data asset's good for like mixed data. It's not gonna let me lay things out in a row and column like grid. So yep, I guess this is how we got to do it. All right, guys, so it may not be clear what I'm doing here, and this text is probably kind of small up here. But... What we're gonna do is I'm gonna switch over to some sort of game or something. Let's see. Star Citizen, relaxing, long play, peaceful, moon mission, mining. Is there audio in this? There's like nothing. I'm so paranoid. I feel like even the people that are streaming on YouTube that are playing a game in the background, I feel like they mute the music. I'll play this lost in random game. Oh, there's gonna be a bunch of voice acting. Yeah, this one's a lot of voice acting. Single player.
Be grateful, child, that the queen herself is here for your special.
Good game though, really cool. This is a really cool game, you guys. Let's see. I'm gonna put on the Nuldrums ambience for now. I just wanted to switch it up. All right. Sorry, I was getting a little tired of the WoW ambient loops. We'll figure out something else for background music in a little bit. There has to be some other game that's like doesn't have voiceover stuff. All right. Anyways, so what we figured out is that essentially, like, I can't have super crazy unstructured data in this. We can use strings and then have some sort of ugly, like, translation of them into either meaning an integer for how many squares you can move, or a string for, like, the move type that they're capable of. But what sucks is I can't just like make a new data table and then just start being like hucking on extra columns to the data table like you can in Core's table editor and stuff. We have to predefine how many columns there are to the data table because each row is a struct. So I basically just need to make a whole generic template of structs that The farthest out is the knight. The knight requires 7 rows or 7 columns to function. But we're gonna make. Let's see. We're gonna just call this struct. We're gonna call it one column string. It's gonna be super boring, super generic. We're gonna delete the we're going to delete out the CSVs that I just added to the content folder. I don't actually need that. Yeah, we'll just get rid of all these CSVs. I don't want them getting added to source control. All right, so let's delete these. So I've got a struct here that's just called one column string. And what I'm going to do is we're going to call this C1, C01. I don't think we'll never get to triple digits. Not with this board game. That would be just stupid. So now I'm going to just duplicate the struct. And what we're going to do is it's just going to be super crude. It's going to go up in column count. So like 1, 2, 3 columns. We'll go up to like 10. Oh, that's why it was clipping. Because we were opening Puppet Masters to look at how I did the... We don't need this open. Close. We're doing a much simpler thing. Means... I can also close the extra writer window that's open. Okay, done. Alright. Duplicate. We always need... It's always going to be odd numbered because... Well, unless we want pieces to be able to move asymmetrically to the left or right, but I don't want to do that. That'd be kind of bad. But it's going to be odd numbered because it's going to be sitting at its origin in the middle. Also, we technically don't need pieces that can move infinitely. We can just set their movement direction, like how many squares they can move. We can set it to the max width or depth of the board. But yeah. All right. Really what I should have done is I should have duplicated as I went. And edited them as I went. Man, I wish I had that plugin in this project. The Asset Tab Manager. Lets you save like whole groups of tabs and stuff. But I'm going to go pull those over here. And let's delete these. And let's duplicate and edit as we go, so I don't have to keep copy pasting the variables. I think that'd be pretty slow. All right. Duplicate. And there's no duplicate option for the variable, so that's fun. Thought I could save time that way, but I guess not. All right. It's really weird that this ambience doesn't get that exhausting to me, even if it's on loop for like a while. It's truly the Nuldrums vibes. All right, the cat's in the way. They're not getting fed food until 2 hours from now. But she's still here anyways to tell me that she's here. Maybe on YouTube streaming, I should do a stream of making my own background ambience and music that I can then stream. You know? Just like hours of nondescript ambient stuff. I mean, technically there's a bunch of the AI lo-fi and stuff out there that I feel like you could get away with, but I don't know. We'll listen to a playthrough of a game or something. In a bit. Okay, so all these make this and call it structs. What a huge hassle. Okay. So now for the chess pieces. Now we need Well, now I do need to look at the CSVs. So let's go to where we just were. I believe is under documents, my games, core, saved. Maps. This one. This one. This one. Okay. All right, so I don't think I have to. I guess we need to define data assets in C++. Oh no. Oh no. Not well, actually we can get it around this. Anyways, let's go to move set for the bishop. Okay. And let's start with recreating this one. So this one is an example. It's infinite on the diagonals. It's set to none on the cardinal directions. So for this guy, we're going to make a new data table, and we're going to inherit from struct 3c string, and this one's going to be dt. We can start with the game first, so probably chess, and then the piece name bishop, and then this is a move set. So the next question is, how are we going to delineate between sets of moves? Because I don't know if it'll let me put blank stuff in. All right, we're going to add. We need 3 rows exactly. And that's it. And the rows don't need names. It's going to be 1, 2, 3. It's kind of silly. They have names. For this case, at least. So this would be infinite. This would be none. This would be infinite. This one would be none. This one would be origin. None. None. Origin. I was thinking technically these could be integers instead of strings, maybe. But that won't be the case anymore when we get to the pieces that have to follow a pattern, like the knights. So anyway, so here's an example of what our movement pattern looks like, or move set looks like for the bishop. Okay. So now let's try to define the one for the knight. So that's one of the craziest ones. That one's real crazy looking. Let's go here. Let's open up the one for the knight. Okay, so this is the craziest one. Almost instead of none, I want to put zeros. I feel like it's harder to determine. Or maybe a hyphen. Hyphen might be a little more clear that that's a no fly zone. Yeah, already, like, I just found a mistake because it's kind of hard to read in a sea of words. An X could also mean, like, it can't move there. But I feel like X could also mark the spot that you are allowed to move, which would be even more confusing. I could reduce these, like origin could be a 0, and then these could be X's for infinite, and like it could be like a number for the move or something if we want, but then it might be even harder to tell it apart. From the spots that you can move. Yeah, what happens is just an empty string. Can I handle that? Or is it going to break something? All right, well, we'll try this, I guess. May or may not end up being clear. I don't know why there's no like clear vertical lines for the columns. It looks kind of stupid. All right. I'm gonna make. We're gonna make the move set for the knights because we want to see what it looks like when there's. We want to see what it looks like when there is a bunch of move sets that are all in a row. If it just looks like a pile of craziness, or if I need to separate them out to all be individual data tables. But we'll see. I remember I decided against doing that when I did the core version because it was harder for me to keep track of whether or not I had accounted for every possible move. This is really dumb. I think the knight's the gnarliest one. Let's see. I think the knight's like 128 rows. We don't need them all necessarily yet, but I'll start making a bunch. Okay, so we got to copy this movement pattern over. I might have to define infinity with X might be the final destination. Well, I don't know. We'll find out. Okay, so everything's done. This is the one where you move up 2 and then to the left. Okay, so yeah, that's a problem already. So I can't just have the spots where you can't move be empty because we're using the empty rows to delineate between sets of moves. It's annoying. We'll just have to do the hyphens. It's fine with me. I think it's easy to tell. So, like, this one's going to be hyphens all the way across. Hyphens all the way for these 3. X 3. M2. Whoops. Zero is the origin. No. This one's M1. All right, so here's an example. And again, I'm sure this is hard to see on the stream a little bit. We don't need all these open right now. All right, guys, so here's an example. I don't know how to even zoom this in right now. Let's see. Application scale, what happens if we do? All right, here we go. I increased the application scale of Unreal. This might help for the video later. All right, so this is what a move pattern looks like that a knight is allowed to do, right? So all the hyphens, I just came up with this. This just looks good to me in the Unreal version here. In the previous version, I had the word none. But it was kind of looking cluttery to me. So this is for any piece that has a custom, like, hand-defined pattern. Like, we can't just, like, define it algorithmically. So the knights are the prime example of this. They have like weird. They can move in an L shape, but the L shape, it sort of changes shape. Right? It's the same concept of 3 squares, But it's not just like, oh, they can just move 3 squares, right? Because they can't move 3 squares like diagonally, and they can't move 3 squares straight forward. It always has to be this weird, like hook pattern, right? So, why is it 7? When can a knight move that far away? Let's see. Boom, 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 boom. Do-do-doom, do-do-doom. I feel like there's a whole extra... Oh, yeah, that's right. They can just move straight up 3 over like that. But they never reach the edges. I don't know why I made this thing 7. So this is actually messed up. All right, scrap it. We're scrapping that. But anyways, so what are the other properties I'm defining here in the moveset? This is how all the data is going to look for every game piece in this game, right? The other properties I'm defining are the 0 represents the origin, where the piece is starting, where they're centered in this pattern. Hyphens are all places they can't move. M1 means that's the first place they go to. M2, that's a move. That's the next place they go to. X3 means X is the final destination. X marks the spot. It could be D instead. D3 for like destination or something like that. But X is keeping consistent with it also being used to mark that something can move infinite. Yeah. The reason why I have to order and number the move squares and stuff like this is because when we play the animations on the client, it needs to have like a list of squares to translate this thing to at the same speed, right? So that it doesn't just, like in the case of the knight, it has to visually move boop, boop, like it needs to go up and then change direction. So it needs a recorded list, and that list needs to be ordered of which places it needs to animate to. Otherwise, the knight is just going to slide like diagonally to like his position, and that's just going to look bad, right? The other cool thing is when it's this manual and this hands-on, it opens the door for like crazy shit in the future with pieces where we can have stuff or something like leapfrogs back and forth or zigzags or something weird like that, right? So, yeah. Anyways, the knight should only be 5 columns. It shouldn't be 7. I don't know why I made it 7 in core. Let me copy the name of this, though. I can't, let's see. Delete. Yeah, the knights, the pawns, in any infinite piece kind of outlines all the sort of crazy rules and exceptions to rules that you need for a board game to function. It's pretty interesting how dynamic just plain old chess is for trying to program it into a video game format. It was kind of surprising to me when I set out to make it the first time. Okay, so also it doesn't need to be as many all right, let's try this again. So this first one we're doing is boom. Okay, this next one is All right, like that. All right, done. All right, so there's the first move set for a knight. Let's go ahead and add the rest of them. I can tell you that not being able to listen to music, I think, helps me focus a little more. So it feels like intense as shit though. I'm just mega locked in. And I'm just stuck in place. Not being able to listen to music and work. It's almost giving me like anxiety. Like I feel like the faster I get this entire project done, the faster I can go back to listening to music. It's pretty weird. We'll see though, man. I guess the YouTube VODs get pushed kind of randomly. It's a bunch of people that had their VODs get picked up by the algo. We have to figure out something a little more interesting for background noise, though, at some point. Okay, we're just straight up doing data entry. The next one is right and up one. So it looks like I went clockwise with the patterns. This one is... that. Super annoying. There's not a good way to... I don't know why I haven't been using my numpad this whole time. I'm dumb. That's like the whole reason I went and bought this full-size keyboard. Okay, what's the next one I did? Down one. Okay. It's like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. There's 14 different ways that a knight can move in chess. So 14 times 5 is going to be 70. And we want 13 space, so 83. So there should be 83 rows total. I'm going to go ahead and just do that, get that part of the way. The knight is the most data intensive because he has a lot of weird custom ways that they move. Dude, I can't imagine if I was trying to both do this and figure out how to translate out of core and into another game engine and trying to learn Godot for the first time ever. That would have been an insane decision. Like, at first I wanted to make this project in Godot, and then I started watching tutorial videos for it, and I realized it's got a crazy workflow. There's going to be just a huge amount of time learning it, and and it's got all the typical things you would expect from an open source piece of software, where there's like, and Unreal has these too, but I've learned them all, but it's got a lot of weird quirks, and people are like, oh, don't use that setting because that feature is broken right now, or that thing's going to cause you to have like a bunch of problems. So yeah, and I just know for a fact that the multiplayer is going to work and be able to work with Steam and stuff pretty flawlessly on the Unreal side. So it just seemed, with my goal being to just get these board games, this like double board game video game thing just out the door as fast as possible, and go through the whole process for the first time of like publishing on Steam and pushing updates to it on Steam and all that. It just seemed like I needed to use Unreal since I just know it so well. The goal is to release this game, have it on Steam, have people play testing it on Steam as like a private game. Figure out how to do devlogs for YouTube. That's a big part of it. All right, you guys. I think what I'll do is we'll just do this on all of them. Okay. I don't know why my scroll wheel is not working in the data view. Weird. I wish we could find some different like ambient loops and stuff to listen to on YouTube, but like every time I just look up ambience, it's not actually ambience like this is. It's always music. Like if you look up WoW ambience, you can't find it. You have to like actually log in the game and go park a character somewhere or something. Because it's always just the OSTs that are on YouTube, not just the ambient loops. It's kind of ridiculous to be doing all this data entry this early before doing a lot more of the programming for like the turns switching and stuff, but and selecting the pieces. But It's just, I know for a fact that the goal by the end of today is to have regular chess working, minus the checkmate logic. I'm not going to worry about that today. Cat distraction, yes, indeed. She wants food, but they're still an hour away from getting fed. I have to figure out some more, like... I'm so hungry, but... I'm trying not to eat sugar right now as much. I just, like, don't even know what to eat anymore. It's like... No. I only have, like, pita and hummus in my fridge. I don't know if that's enough for, like, a whole entire lunch. When I go back to work, it'll be fine, because I'll go get, like, sushi or something, but, man, I need to figure out a snack in a minute. I, like, went out and bought groceries yesterday, and all I bought was basically breakfast and dinner. I kind of forgot you're supposed to eat in between that. I'll have to get something in a minute, though. We're coming up on 2.5 hours of streaming and sitting in one place. So I will probably get up in a little bit. Anyways, yeah, so like I was saying, it's kind of crazy to be doing this much data entry right now. But I know for a fact we have to get just normal chess pieces working by the end of tonight, so I might as well go ahead and just knock out all of the movement rules and definitions and stuff for every normal chess piece in one go right now. So that is ready to go and ready to be parsed in blueprints. Yep. So now this one is M1, M2. This one is X3. Boom. All right. Then this one is M1. This one is M2. X3. This one is M1. This one is 2. This one is X3. Okay. Excellent. 1, 2. All right, so that's all those standard movements for the night. What are the last few? Let's see. Destination 3. Okay, so now these next few are... this one and this one. And then the equivalent over here is this. And this. And this. And then, oh, somehow I'm missing some. What did I count? 14. Oh, maybe it was 14 more than what I was already at. Okay. So 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Cats are busy fighting. I don't know if their food feeder is working correctly. Okay. Like I said, the knight is the beefiest. The beefiest of all in terms of the amount of data. All right, then we go in here. All right. All right, done. Okay, so here is every possible move that a knight can make in chess. All right. So that's the heftiest one. What we're going to make next is we will make the pawn. Yep, we'll make the pawn. So the pawn only requires moveset of 3. This is probably the most annoying part about this. I have to keep renaming all these rows. sun come out today? I think it did. It's been cloudy since I got back. All right. Does this have to be equal? I don't know. It's probably good practice. I need to delete this already. It actually was supposed to be 5 columns across for the pawn because it can move up to 2 squares forward. Reek. 5 space. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 space. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 space. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's it. Okay. All right. Zero. 0. 0. 0. X. Oh, that's interesting. Destination. X1, X2 is probably how I should denote that. Oh, whoops. X1. That means infinite, so this needs to be X1. All right. Okay, that's it for the pawn. All right, the rest of them are much simpler. There's way less data for the rest of them. We've got to do the king, and we got to do the queen and the rook. Okay, the king is just... See? He's just 1, 2, 3. That's it. And this is... And 1, 1, 1. Oh, this is directional. It's not a pattern. So when it's not a pattern, then we can just put the number of squares that it moves in that direction. Okay. That's it for the king. Okay, next is 3 columns. Queen. And then rook, and then we're done. It is just X all the way down. And X stands for infinite, is what I decided. When we get to the step where we're parsing move sets for pieces that follow the directional move set rules. Okay. Last one is the rook. And that is, again, just 3 columns. And this is, whoops, boom, like that. And then like this. And like this, this, this. All right, guys, we finished all the data entry for, we figured out how to structure the data, and we figured out what most of it's going to look like for every piece in normal, regular chess. We ported over kind of how I had decided to structure it in a previous project, which is basically just laying it out in like these 2D, just rows and columns in like a spreadsheet, basically, right? And then each chunk of like the different moves that like a knight can do, for example, is separated by an empty row. That may or may not work. We'll find out when we start programming. It could throw a fit over there being an empty row or whatever. But for now, I just chose something that looks good. We'll find out when the rubber actually hits the road what's going to work. The other piece that's missing is sometimes the move sets themselves require a special condition. They require a condition or a rule for them to be allowed to even be possible for the piece or valid. And the example of this is the pawn. So for the pawn to be able to move diagonally forward 1 square, right, there has to be an enemy piece present in that square for it to do a capture. I think this might actually constitute, and this might actually be considered like a part of the pawn's attack pattern, which is a concept that I had separated out in my other project, and it is something we'll need to make use of in this project when we make the sci-fi hexagonal game later. which I don't know if I'm going to make 2 games in one for this or not yet. Because this is already shaping up to look like it's going to be a huge amount of work just for one board game, let alone 2. But anyways, yeah. So the pawn has special conditions for all of his for this move. He has to be on the first move ever that you're using the pawn for. For this move, there has to be an enemy. For this move, there has to be an enemy. So that's the next thing we need to figure out how to define is the conditional special rules. We don't need to worry about that, I think, right now. But the data we have is good enough that what we're going to move on to next is when I select one of these pieces, I would like to see all of the potential squares where it can move to light up green. And we're also going to put something on the HUD to show whose turn it is. So that's the next steps. Now we got the moves defined. We're going to get the we're going to get the thing working where we can only move the pieces in those squares, and those squares are the things that get lit up on the screen. Pretty simple, but you know that will likely take. It'll probably take another hour, potentially 2 hours, because there's, I don't know, there could be some unknown weirdness with like trying to parse through the data tables or something in a blueprint, which I haven't done. I haven't done that ever. I don't think. Not in a really long time. I might have done it a long time ago. That'll be fun. Anyways, I'm gonna do I'm gonna take a desk break real quick. I'm gonna go make some hummus or get some salsa and chips or something and just walk around. Let's see. I really wish we could have away music, man. This YouTube thing is killing me. All this looks like copyright strike city, dude. So I'm saying, you look up the word ambience on YouTube, you don't actually get ambience, you get music. Like Hogwarts music. Ay, ay, ay. Dude, how the heck is somebody allowed to run a radio station 24/7 as a live stream on YouTube, but I can't play anything during my stream? This doesn't make any sense. How do they not get... How does their stream not get shut down? Gosh. Oh my. Oh, Cyberpunk 2077 ambience, no music. Ambience only, no music. There's a bunch of voice stuff going on. Alright, you guys, this will be the next thing. We'll listen to cyberpunk ambience. There you go. I'll leave that running while I go AFK. I'm just going to eat something real quick and stand up. Probably switch my desk to standing mode, too. There we go. Underwater ambience. There we go. Those birds were annoying. There you go. You guys get underwater ambience. I'll probably put on some kind of video game playthrough thing or something when I get back. Maybe we'll try that. See if it lets me dodge the copyright. Oi, oi, oi. Nuclear, 25 months a sub. It's crazy. I'm eating food right now.